All right, let's get into quantum gravity, the sun, the moon, the time cycle of the aliens here. And they are telling us that they are human beings from another dimension and these types of things. So, and they're made after our image, or we're made after their image. So I've talked about this black hole theory and Earth being in it, and then NASA also released this image of this kind of bubble thing coming through, and we could be in this bubble. We could be in a kind of a mothership passing through a black hole, and we're going to be shot out the other side one way, and then eventually this kind of just peters in and peters out as far as Earth and the black hole, as far as a new heaven and new Earth on a physical level coming. As the black hole expands or whatever, the Earth and all the underworld comes up within it and reforms and melts out as the people are so-called raptured up or go into the mothership and wait for all these things and then come back down and repopulate the Earth, okay? And then those also who are left behind, like the 80-20 rule, and then the out of the 20 rule that's left behind, you have the 10% that's either going to make it or not make it, and where you have the repopulation of Earth, and this is the time such as was not since the beginning. So even on a spiritual level, these things have already happened, okay? And we're looking back at these things. That's why they're telling you that the aliens are here, and this little black hole system that we're in, the TV, the screen, the image given life to create man and woman after he, them, that is the so-called Jesus or the Satan. Okay, so y'all need to think about these things as you hang your Jesus and Satan up on the cross, and your Lord is killed on Sodom and all those other things, okay? And as this motion picture, the image given life, all these, the peaks in consciousness and then breaking away from it, all these things are coming upon you as you're going into this black hole and pushing out or whatever, right? And that's part of that mist of the Earth being pushed out from the beginning, and then it starts to rain upon the Earth later, and that rain is also a part of going into the garden where you need the currency to rule and reign that structure where the Lord God is coming in, because the Lord God has the sun and shield, and the shield protects you in battle, okay? And so since God was given dominion over all things, there was one man who figured out how to make a shield, that technology. And as through that technology, he came in and started taking dominion over the man. And this is where he brought him into the garden and all those things. And this is where we're having these things taken as far as into the Noah's Ark, and Lot out of Sodom, and Jesus on the cross going into hell, rising up out, and having that transfiguration. That transfiguration is here now as a fig, and that thing that spiritual fruit that develops within outward, and that's where you have your hantavirus and this symbiotics and these things coming back for your Christmas spirit of past and those types of things. So and then your Xmas, the X logo is a hypodermic needle. The hypodermic needle, the Holocaust, is going to come upon you in another way for that concentration camp and those exam time frames. So as all these cycles are coming in a physical level within the spirit of man and redoing these things, okay? And that RNA shot or whatever is also that ribonucleic acid, that cold bomb where they can come in and take out cities and leave the infrastructure that we've gotten into in the past. And then that's also where you have your Legos and your the Lego prophecy I told you here with the Iran, and then doing those raptures and those types of things. For that auto mechanism that's built into it, and it's built in through the symbiotics and the venom, and the venom has that oil that's running through his veins. So as the bacteria and all these things hold information and whatever, this can be where light holds information also. God is light. All these things are coming into the black hole, being absorbed, and since nothing escapes the black hole, they say, it just expands. So this is where the sun we're actually looking out into space through the sun, but we can't see there because it's so bright and so much light coming in, right? So the light is actually coming in. This is getting to the quantum gravity stuff, but the light's coming in and pushing life out of us, okay? And this is where we see everything absorbing. And then once the light gets to a certain spectrum, a certain height on Earth, and all those things start to grow and come in and push out, okay? And then like wintertime, the sun gets closer, they say. So this is where there's so much light coming in, it can't keep up. And then all of a sudden you get the spring burst when the light starts moving away or whatever. Then you get the flowers. The flowers are that extra production of that light that's been stored up and pushed down into Earth and all those kinds of other things, okay? So it's not that we're being pulled to Earth, we're being pushed down to Earth, because we are absorbing that light from space. And the Earth and the moon, the sun pushing gravity to Earth. The moon has 1/6 the gravity the Earth does. So the moon and the Earth is the power source of the black hole or whatever, and the sun is the light coming in from the space and whatever kind of thing. So that's where they're telling you the interstellar visitors and all those things went behind the sun and all that kind of thing. So they're telling you they're telling you some different things, because you don't know if it went behind the sun or in the sun or out the sun or whatever kind of thing. So this is that kind of escape route, and how if something is seeding itself, and you have to have the infrastructure and the invisible first before you can, and that's where you get the dark and without form and void and all that stuff, and then you start getting the multiplications and the firmaments and dividings, and we see that inside the womb and all that. So the womb, the man and woman, the spaceship, the semen going into the black hole, going in this tube or that tube, and creating this world or that world. We're seeing all these things now in our world as you're going through that push and that bubble inside the placenta, and that uterus and that us and our of the God and all that stuff. So as we went into the black hole, we're going out of the black hole, coming into a new world. We were in that the colony phase, and now that's why everybody's shoving their finger up their ass by the doctors and all this stuff. They're not doctors, they're just perverts, okay? The doctor, let food be thy medicine. You don't actually have to go to those people. You actually just need to take all the thousands of dollars you're spending on insurance and go buy some really badass food, okay? But it's too late for that. So the black hole, Earth, and this expansion and all of these things can actually be happening on overlays where you're, okay, just as a flushing system. If one doesn't work, you got the other one working, okay? So this is where you get a whole new system and a whole new heaven and earth, and things are wiped out, things are made, and so as these layers of light are coming and the invisibles laid first, that's where you have these so-called interdimensional humans, the aliens, coming into our world, and then things manifest through us from the underworld also. And this is where you get the spraying in the skies. All these things are here, and it's there to rapture, to catch up the earth, because the earth has been an upside down world in a matter of speaking, and they've been fed the lie, okay? And as they've been fed the lie, they believe the lie, and they're not going to accept the truth when it's given to them. And as they don't accept the truth, they're going to go deeper and deeper into that little triangle for that tribulation. And then eventually 20, 40, whatever years later, they're going to peter in, peter out. And as they peter in, peter out, that's part of that Sodom and Gomorrah and their Lord dying, because Jesus called Peter Satan, calling him Christ, and he said, you're going to start the church. So him and Peter, or Paul and Peter, got together and started the church. So that's where you have Elvis on one level, okay? Then you have Paul and Ringo and John and whatever the George, the Beatles, all right? The King Spirit, Devil's Music, showing you all this stuff or whatever. But he's singing the Gospels, right? And then you have the Beatles. They're coming in doing this and whatever kind of thing. and then they all go into the dark tunnel, just like all your stars or whatever. But they're saving Taylor Swift for that nice little custom suit. Either way, the quantum effect and the light coming in and pushing us out, it's all right there. And Earth being in a black hole, Earth 2.0, and the flat Earth and the space and all this shit combining together, and to where we can actually figure out the truth and all these things, because it tells you the mysteries are kept until the end, and we're at the end, folks. So this is where all the mysteries and the aliens, we're already part of the aliens and all this thing. The lights already come in and started fucking shining, people.